Yo, and welcome back to another episode of Nature is Underrated. Your co-host here, Hassan Haydar, with my co-host, Ryan George.
What's going on?
Not much. I think I got some big news.
You could say that. You could say that.
I got some big news, guys. It's official. It's official. I'm officially a certified Wim Hof Method instructor.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
I just got back from Spain 2 days ago. The training finished on like 5 days ago. Yeah, a week ago. Was it Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, our last day was last Saturday. So yeah, I guess that's what we're going to talk about today.
Let's get into it, man.
We could talk about the whole process. So obviously you sign up, they send you a syllabus. It's a 10-part syllabus. You study all the different scientific papers that are associated with Wim Hof Method in particular. And the reason the Wim Hof Method is so standalone is it's the only really proven technique to have the health benefits that, you know, people make claims about, like improving your immunity, tackling autoimmune diseases, you know, all alkalizing the body. Which I think I accomplished, if not top, definitely one of the more top tier performers, I would say. But yeah, let's get into the actual week because it's definitely a life-changing experience.
Let's get into it, man. Like I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And like, I guess before we get into that, I just want to say, like, so there's a lot of different breathwork certifications and things you can do, but realistically, they're all based on the studies that have been carried out on Wim Hof and his method. Like, he's the most studied practitioner in the world of cold exposure and breath work. Yeah. There's no other course or program has the amount of scientific data to back up what they're claiming. So, like, I think that's important to state because, like, you know, you throw a Wim Hof out there and, like, people might know who he is. They might not.
And they're more so, like, know about the stunts.
Exactly. So they know, like, oh, he climbed Everest in shorts and, like, all these crazy things that he's done. But it's like, well, there's more to it than just, like, doing crazy, like, feats of.
Yeah. Which he, by the way, all attributes to the method.
Well, of course. Right. But he can do those things because of the method. So, like, that's what. Like, before we get into it, I just want to, like, put that out there because, like, people don't realize how
it's not.
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah, there's exactly. There's levels to this. That's what I realized while I was there too. There's levels to this whole, you know, training people on how to deliver a breath work and training people how to get people in and out of ice bath and understanding the safety behind it and understanding the science behind it and understanding the history of how we got to this point too.
Right. And
the other thing is, like, yeah, okay, Wim is the most studied person, but Wim is also the catalyst for all the other studies. There was no scientific endeavors in the field until Wim Hof kind of set off that trajectory.
100%.
So, you know, from now till whenever, it starts with him.
We've learned things about our human physiology that we didn't know was possible until they studied Wim Hof. So, like, just to put it into perspective, like, there's breath work and then there's Wim Hof.
Yeah.
Like, and cold exposure, and then there's Wim Hof, which is like the, like, top tier. Like, if you're trying to do this is like the highest level of certification that's, you know, scientifically backed and proven to be what it is. Like, you can make claims and back it up with the data. So, like, let's get into now what, like, the actual training was like, because, like, you did 2 months of studying.
So 2 months of studying, that's, like, super intense. We were doing weekly study groups too. So we were getting on Zoom, like myself and all the other people who were involved, who were in, like, our cohort. So that was intense. Like, we would just, every week we'd sit down and, like, go over, okay, there's a 2014 endotoxin study. Okay, let's talk about how many participants were in there. What were the findings? What was actually happening on a physiological level? Like, what hormones were being affected by breath work? What hormones were being affected by cold? What study did this cause? Like, so this study was done in 2014. What was the next study? Like, what did they say? Okay, fuck, let's we got this conclusion here, but we need to understand this part of the breath work more, or like this part of the chemistry more. And after that, like, so we're digging deep. We're like really learning about what's going on a cellular level when you're doing this stuff.
It's like being back in school, like actual university, like physiology class. Like you're learning the science and what's actually happening at a cellular level, like you said, a physiological level. It's not just like do these breathwork patterns.
Oh, you feel good.
And you're gonna experience some tingles in your body.
It's like, what is the tingles?
Yeah, like you actually go into learning the fundamentals and everything, which is like so impactful, because if you're gonna be guiding people, you should have a very, very good understanding of what's actually happening.
Yeah. So we get there, we're getting trained by 4 instructors. Bart, who is literally the first person who was ever trained as an instructor by Wim Hof. So he's been there since the beginning. And then Jamie, Carolina, and Heather, all who are level 3 Wim Hof Method instructors and have been instructing since like 2017, 2018.
Incredible.
So this is literally it, like Wim Hof Method up until 2014, he was a clown. 2014, they did the endotoxemia study, which is where he took 14 men and he trained them the exact way I was trained in the last 5 days, with the breath work, cold, mindset training. And they injected them with E. coli, and they were able to basically suppress the immune response. And when we mean suppress, it's not mean like weakening the immune response. It's like when you have an immune response to like a toxin being injected in your immune response is like headache, fever, shivers. So your body is doing those things to fight off the E. coli in your body. But through this training method, these guys barely even had a headache. So for the first time, 2014, he proved that you can tap into your autonomic body function, which is the immune system. You can influence the immune system to fight off a deadly bacteria. So that was like, okay, this guy's not just a stuntman. This guy is doing something insane.
Right. Because if you tell somebody, oh, you're not feeling well, do breath work and you can like beat it or feel better, people would be like, bro, get the fuck, like,
because they don't understand.
Well, right.
But like once I studied it, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Like,
well, of course, of course,
perfect sense.
It's crazy because, like, you know, I've been following Wim just as long as you have, right? And that's what got me into cold exposure and breath work and everything. And like, ever since I learned about that study and him talking about it, I was like, huh. So if I'm ever feeling like I'm about to get sick or like something's off, I immediately start fasting if I'm not already, and do the Wim Hof method 2 or 3 times a day, because I know I can influence my physiology at a cellular level. And you're
literally changing the hormonal balance in your body to just fight off the inflammatory response.
And it works.
Yeah.
When I was in LA with Autumn, she got COVID. I didn't.
Yeah.
I started fasting and doing Wim Hof twice a day. I was perfectly fine.
Yeah. And if you're a daily practitioner, you will always reset your body so that you never have high levels of inflammation. So it becomes, not to say that you will never get sick, but it becomes harder and harder for you to get sick.
And then on top of that, like, throw grounding into the mix. When you ground, you reduce inflammation across your body. So if you can ground while doing Wim Hof breath,
breath. Well, like Wim Hof method, which is breath and cold, and your mindset, making sure that your mindset is correct, and then ground. Like you're going to be out of the pharmaceutical subscription model.
Right.
But yeah, let's get into the actual week. So it was so powerful, man. Like, so I mentioned the instructors, they're all top tier instructors. And this is like having them facilitate my breath work. That's when you're like, okay, there's like levels to this. Like, this is like this is a game where it's like, all right, there's people who can cue you, which is one thing. There's something entirely different to facilitate an experience for you.
Curate that.
To create a space where you feel okay transcending your body, because that's a scary experience. Coming out of your body is a scary experience, right?
Yeah.
So every single day we had about 40 minutes to an hour of breath work, and every day different style, and every day different people would do it for us, just so that they can give us a taste of the different ways of facilitating those experiences. And like, okay, there's a way to get people out of body experiences with very slow breathing and gentle breathing. And then there's a way to do that with a little bit more intense breathing. And there's a way to do that with just allowing everyone to go on their own pace. And each of these different modalities, more or less, are going to give you what you need.
Interesting.
So the breath work was absolutely phenomenal. On like the Thursday I was there, that was the heaviest day. But yeah, the breath work was like, I was like coming out of my body. A lot of people were like coming out of their body and just having like these really deep experiences and like emotions that are inside of you just like coming out, like whoosh, and just opening you up like a sore wound. So the breath work was absolutely phenomenal. Like, phenomenal.
So when you say different styles of breath work, is it like different lengths of breath work? Is it different breathing techniques? Is it like, let's get into that a little bit.
It's all Wim Hof style.
Wim Hof breathing.
Wim
breath
Hof
work
breathing
is,
it's like the 30 to 40 rounds of deep breathing, followed by retention on empty, and then a recovery breath on full, and then into the rounds. So, and those rounds can be typically, if you go on YouTube, you're going to get the 3 rounds, but you can go 5 rounds, 6 rounds. And you can also play with the number of breaths too. Well, because it's an instructor course, so it's 50. Everyone there is serious about their breath work, right? So they give you a lot more leeway, and they play around with the breath work a lot more. Everyone there like, okay, everyone here is pretty seasoned. Like, we can push these guys deep, which is what the whole point of the week is try to push you deep. Like,
let's see if you're cut out for it, right? Like,
exactly.
Because if you can't go there yourself, how are you going to facilitate someone else?
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. So breath work every single morning. And then like, it was a roller coaster of emotion. And like, looking back on it, the reason it was a roller coaster of emotion is like, so you do the breath work makes you emotional. Great. Get into the ice bath. Okay, boom. Now you're fighting your demons in the cold. So you're having a dump of adrenaline into your body. Your mind is super focused. You're also a little bit nervous because you're getting assessed. Like the first day, they were like, okay, ice bath, just show us how you do it. So you're in your head, you're like, what the fuck do they want to see? Like,
so hold on. They just observe you getting into an ice bath and then sitting in there?
Yeah.
And like how you
it's just a part of it is like mind game.
So it's about like how you handle the cold,
how you handle the instructions. Like it's all these like nuanced things that they're.
So are they instructing you how to like be in the ice bath, or is it just like you just get in the ice and we're just gonna watch?
Yeah,
bro, it's
a mind game.
I don't like that.
Yeah, bro. The first day they're just like, okay, boom. They split us into 2 separate groups because there's 50 of us. I feel very fortunate that I was with Bart, who is Wim's right hand man. So I felt very fortunate that I was with him. But, you just come to the ice bath. They're like, okay, get in. Like, but just do it the way you would do it. And you're like, I'm just like, okay, I just got in right away. I don't hesitate. I was like, the whole week there, who wants to get up and speak? Who wants to present on this? Who wants to get in the ice bath? I was like, me.
That's it.
I just kept throwing myself in.
Of course, you have to, man.
Yeah.
You got to show that.
I was like, I don't give a fuck if I look stupid. They're going to just respect the fact that I'm the first. I'm willing to throw myself in the fire.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah. So first day was just like that. Yeah, just show us how you would do. You have 30 minutes. You just need to get cold and get warm in 30 minutes. That's it.
Hold on. We all know it's like, 2 minutes is the benefit.
Yeah.
Whatever. And you typically, if you have a sauna, you're doing contrast therapy.
Yeah.
You can do multiple rounds. So this is 30 minutes. You just get in the ice bath.
You have free time.
So you're free flowing. You get in, you stay for as long as you want. You get out.
But you have to be warm.
But how do they test that?
Are you shivering? Like, are you sitting there profusely shivering? Or because I got a little too cold that first day and I realized I was like, oh, fuck. Because like right now, if they tell me I need to present on something and my body is still in recovery, that's an observation.
So you have to be like...
You have to be smart. You're like, okay, I got 30 minutes.
You kind of have to ride the edge. Like how...
They want to see
much can I push it? Yeah.
Do you know your own body so you could be going and instruct another person?
Interesting.
Because like, okay, I could do 7 minutes and then get out and warm myself up and be like totally good to go in half an hour to just continue the day. Or am I going to be sitting there for an hour after drop because my ego is too big to get out?
Right. Well, and that's actually
That's what they're doing. They're crushing your ego.
I respect that, because again, if you are facilitating other people and you don't even know your limits or how you're going to react, if you start having a breakdown and you're shivering uncontrollably or whatever, what are these people going to do? They're looking up to you for guidance and support. So
you're holding space.
I like that. They just, do your thing.
Yeah. That was day one.
Let's see.
Like, yeah, just do your thing.
I love it.
Yeah. Day 2, I don't know, was it day 2 or day 3? Anyways, day 2, breath work again in the morning, all day long. Like the other thing that's like very emotional about it is like all day long you're sitting there nervous because they're like picking people out of the crowd to present on stuff, right? Like, oh, you have 2 minutes presented on this study, make it very simple. You're gonna get feedback from everyone. You're just gonna stand there and we're all gonna tell you how you did.
Crazy. So you have to not memorize, but like you have to know these studies inside
Well
and
enough,
out,
yeah.
so you can actually like relay that information,
Yeah.
but also break it down.
The studies inside out.
Right.
And they're like, hey, just simple.
Yeah.
Simple. Make it simpler. No. Make it simpler. Stop talking about how many participants were in the study. Stop. No. People at your workshop, they're already thinking about the ice. They're not.
It's true. Like if you're not used to cold exposure and that, like
sitting there like
you're just like, fuck, I gotta get in an ice bath.
Yeah,
like
ice bath. Like or like you're just excited to get into it too.
Right. Just try something new. You don't care. First of all, you're not going to remember the stats from a study.
Yeah.
Like anyone tells me a study, I'm like, oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's already in.
Unless you're interested and you ask a question.
Right.
Then it's very like, this is a very important thing to me. Most of the people are just like,
it's anecdotal. It's like, okay, I know that they studied this. I know these were the results.
Exactly.
It's just a way to like kind of prove your method. Like, hey, this is why we're doing it in this way, and this is what you can expect to get as a result of doing this.
Exactly. So yeah, that day, like we get paired up. We do like role playing too. Like, okay, they'll tell you like, okay, Hassan, you're going to be paired with Elmer, but you need to pretend like you're Wim Hof, like as a participant that's like super like out of control, you know. So, and he needs to handle you, right?
Amazing.
Or like, for example, I got paired with Shane. His role was like trying to convince me to get into the ice bath first to show him how to do it. And that's like a no as a facilitator. No, you shouldn't be getting cold when you're trying to teach people.
Right.
You need to be holding space. You need to be in control the whole time. So his thing was like, no, please show me, blah, 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 blah. And I have to like figure out a way to, work with this difficult participant.
Right.
And kind of explain to him like, no, safety, this, that, and the other. I'm here to hold space for you. So we're doing all these kind of like role play exercises. Then we get asked to like facilitate our breath work, and then they plant people in the audience that, okay, one person gets up and walks away. How do you deal with that? One person is going into severe tetany. How are you dealing with that? One person starts crying uncontrollably. Like, how are you holding space? How are you responding to these? Basically, all the things they've experienced,
right? They're
planting them. In 1 week, you're experiencing everything that they're experiencing.
I mean, they've been doing this for years and years. So they've seen all the possible kind of reactions and
all the scenarios.
Yeah.
Like they're just putting plants in the audience and seeing how you react.
I like that though, because it's the best way to learn, right? You can read studies studies,
you can watch people facilitate.
Until you're actually put in that situation and have to deal with it, and you're forced to think about how to deal with it.
Exactly.
You're not going to really learn. Because like you can do theory all day, but until you put it into practice, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And you're getting feedback the whole time too, which is amazing.
It's great because you need that, right? Because
like, oh, like you have a powerful voice, you walked around, but change your cues. Your cues are really boring. Like you're not gonna be able to grab people the way you should be grabbing people. Don't just keep saying breathe in and out, breathe in and out. Like people are gonna get bored of that, and they're gonna just be annoyed by you after half an hour. They're gonna be annoyed by you. So like that was a big part of it. A big part of it was like, okay, scenarios that you're gonna see, how you're gonna react, and then also the instructors stepping in and being like, well, this is how you should have done it. This is how we would deal with it, right? So you get in that real experience, and you're also, because people think like, oh, I'm going to facilitate breathwork for 25 people. Okay, great. You're going to facilitate for 25 people. What if one person is going into having severe tetany, right? And you're facilitating now for 25 people. Are you going to stop the breath work, drop everything you're doing in the middle of breath work to go deal with that person? Because now you just ruined the experience for everyone, including the person that's having tetany.
Right, of course.
Right? So like, I never thought about that. I never even once like considered like, okay, how would you deal with that?
Well, because you can't put it on pause.
You can't be like, everybody stop breathing. Okay, this guy's fucking locking down. Oh, everyone's going to turn around and freak out because it looks like this guy's about to die.
Crazy.
So they're really getting you to think about what you're doing, because I think a lot of people are like, you know, they see it's a trend. Like, yeah, I can facilitate breathwork. Yeah, anyone can facilitate breathwork, really. But can you create a safe experience?
Right. And
do you have the foresight to be like, no, 25 people, I'll actually need an assistant with me because I need a second pair of eyes to keep an eye on everyone. And if I do need something, I don't have to ruin the experience for the entire group.
It's smart, yeah. Because like now that you mention it, like you kind of do need more than one assistant, right?
Bro.
Like
I didn't realize that,
because you can't be facilitating, but then also
dealing with the situation.
Dealing with that situation, because how's that going to work?
Yeah.
You have to keep the cadence. You got to keep the rhythm going. You got to keep the instruction going while you're trying to help this person out.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And you also don't want anyone else. It's not that you don't want them to see it, but like if you're not in control, people feel that energy is just going to resonate through the whole 100%. Room. And now everyone's knocked out. No one's going to be having the experience you want them to have.
Yeah.
So that's like a big part of it. These are the things you need to think about. Like when you're having a workshop of this size, do you need an assistant? Probably
makes sense.
Probably yes. Probably do need an assistant, especially when you're starting out. So a lot of learning how to simplify, and tell a story. You know, we did exercises like, okay, like these are 5 parts of a story. Write in a story and then get up and present.
Stories are very impactful because people will remember a story more than they will you giving them advice or instruction.
Oh yeah,
because they can relate more to a story, and it's something that will stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, so we had one that was really like 2 mornings. The Wednesday and the Thursday really stick out to me. The Wednesday, get everyone up. We're basically staying in this small town called Murillo de Tu, which is, if you look up on Wikipedia, the population is 8. But so we're basically like on a tiny little town, and then across the street is the school of where it used to be a town. It's no longer a town, but there's schoolhouses there. So we go to the schoolhouse every morning, and that's where we're doing most of the instructions. So they're like, okay, we're gonna do breath work. Everybody lay down, fully in, fully out. All right, everyone get up and get into their bathing suits. Like, hold hands, silence, nobody can talk. And they just took us on a long walk in the morning, and it was pretty cold that morning, just in our bathing suits, to the ice bath. But like, we get up that morning, and you know, we're all holding hands. We're walking up, you know, the trail that they're taking us on, and it's like the most magnificent sunrise is happening. Like the sky is like if I close my eyes, I can see all the colors. And it was just one of those things where I was like, whoa, that's amazing, you know, and like super quiet, and they just have a drum playing like boom, 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 and like with silence and morning and a drum and a sunrise, like, come on, you're getting the vibe, right? Like, you're getting the vibe. We're all holding hands, 50 of us walking. We get to the ice bath. First, like, you know, we get to the ice bath. There's a rainbow over the ice bath. So there's that going on. And they coil all 50 of us into the ice bath.
Come on.
Yeah, dude.
You 50 people fit in that bath?
50 people, and this is the kiddie pool bath. Like, but they just had us coil. It was the first person in the middle went. We coiled all the way around. Crazy. Did our ice bath and then got out, still holding hands. Like, that was the rule: quiet and holding hands.
So you're in it together. It's like creating that sense of like community, but also like support. It's like, I got you, you got me. Like, everyone has each other's back. Yeah, like, you're in this together.
Yeah, we're not dragging the person behind you, and you're not.
No,
everyone's moving at the same pace.
Yeah.
Boom, we get out, like, go back, and that was just, like, the reason that was such a phenomenal experience is just because of like the nature, the holding of the hands, and just like seeing like certain people were like having a tough time, but like once you make eye contact with someone, they like, you could feel their energy kind of settle in.
Because the collective energy, right? You become this unit of one, right? So it's like if you're stronger, you gotta kind of raise the vibration and like help those people who are struggling and like pick them up, right?
Exactly.
And they're gonna get strength from you because they're like, oh, this guy's not shook.
Yeah, like you just lock eyes with people and it's crazy because you can't talk.
Yeah,
the whole time
so you have to just like
we're like talking and like like when we see the rainbow, we're just, nobody's saying anything, but everyone is seeing the same thing. But we can't be like, oh my god, the rainbow is so nice. There's just like something special about not expressing yourself right away, but appreciating a moment with everyone without saying a word.
Because you can just take it in for what it is, right?
You're just taking it in. Everyone is taking it in. Nobody's sharing, but like we all are experiencing. We're all super present in the moment, right? Like super in the moment because you're focused too.
You have to be like
we're holding hands.
Where else are you gonna be?
We're getting cold. Our feet are wet. Like it could be slippery. Like we're just there. So that was epic. And then Thursday they took us deep with the breath work. Thursday, I don't want to say I passed out because I don't think I passed out. I was like, so there's a sleep, there's a wake, and there's like right in the middle. And I kept going into this world that was like right in the middle.
So it's like almost like
I was dreaming. I don't know if I was holding my breath. I don't know if I was. I just don't know. I know
you're probably in like the theta brainwave state. It's like the state where like
I was not with
first
my body.
Wake up.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like still a little bit in that kind of dream realm. If you were to do a meditation, you might doze off, you might not, but you're like not sleeping.
No, not sleeping.
Yeah.
Definitely not sleeping. But I kept getting into these like really weird dream phases. And I was like, I could hear like my mom's heartbeat at one point, like from her being inside of her and in her womb. Like that was like a vision. That was one of the visions I had. Bruh. People crying. I start crying.
You went back to the womb, bro.
Yeah, bro. People crying. I'm crying. Like it's just like I don't know what happened. And then we have like an hour of no talking afterwards too. So full silence for like integration purposes.
Yeah.
And it was while I was in the hour of silence that I realized that I kept going into the dream world. I was like, what the fuck was happening? Because I felt like I would be like, and then I would start breathing again. Like I would feel like I have held my breath for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, breath work. And then my conscious mind would like turn back on and bring me back into the room.
Yeah.
And during the breath work, I didn't realize that. But during the hour away, like not talking to anyone and kind of just being alone, I was like, oh, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? And then also feeling like these waves of emotion, waves, really heavy stuff coming, like, things that have been bothering me, especially stuff in the news was like just coming up, and like also like kind of meditating on, because we have to all share our personal stories and like kind of like feeling other people's, the pain they felt, like because people were there were like, oh, like my best friend committed suicide and stuff like that.
Heavy.
So you could feel that.
Yeah.
Like during the breath work, I could feel someone else's story inside of me. And then we broke off into our groups, and that day was a lot of personal stories. And that was like, dude, like 8:00 came and I was done. I was so exhausted because
it's a lot of energy, man. Like
you're taking on a lot from other people.
It's like being a therapist, right? Like when you have to listen to heavy things or just dealing with people's energy all day, that's draining. You only have so much in you. You can only give so much. Yeah, and I take so much.
Had like one of the best breathwork sessions of my life, which was I was having so many breakthroughs during that,
and that's already taking a lot of energy. And then now you're just like stacking it with story after story, and just like
this person telling the story. About, like like my son was ill. This person telling a story about my friend committed suicide. This person telling a story about I almost lost my son. And this and
crazy.
Like near-death experiences and like everything you can imagine, you hear.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're just taking it in. Like, and like Thursday, I cried more on Thursday than I've cried in like 5 years. Like dead ass.
Now, like in that moment, like when you're hearing all these things and you're just like, does it put into perspective, like, because we all get in our own heads about like how, hard our lives have been and all the things we've gone through, but like hearing other people's stories of like, near-death experiences, losing a friend to suicide, like all these crazy things, like did it help put things into perspective for you?
I think Well, it's funny because my journal that night I just wrote, "We are all suffering." Like that's my opening line for my journal entry that day. Um, I don't know if it was like one of those things like, oh, I'm so grateful for what I have. More so like, okay, like the work I'm about to be doing is serious because the people who are going to be coming to Wim Hof Method workshops are the people who have had traumatic experiences and are looking for something, right?
Right.
So feeling that heavy emotion on Thursday really kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, how am I gonna hold space for all these people without it destroying me? Dead ass. Because like
Right.
not to say that I don't want to hear other people's stories or that I didn't enjoy that, because I did, because it was very eye-opening and heart-opening.
Mm.
But also it makes you think like, okay, you ran 15 breathwork sessions in the last 3 months. You don't think that's gonna affect you? You don't think people coming to you and telling you their stories about what happened in their life, like that's not gonna trigger something inside of you?
Yeah.
You're gonna be taking that on from other people. So it was one of those. That was my, like, we had a sharing afterwards. I was like, honestly, all I could think of was like how profound the work we're all gonna be doing is, and how much it's gonna change the world, but also how heavy it could be on you.
And how do you take care of that? So like,
How
was
do you
that
take care of
part of
yourself?
that? Like, how do you navigate that?
Well,
Or is that up to you to figure
that's
out?
up to you to figure out. That's basically what they said. They're like, it's not like taking a bubble bath after your shit. Like you just need to be aware of what's going on. You need
Right.
to really take
So
it
you,
in.
you need to be grounded in yourself and
Mhm.
like have your own, because I mean, everyone is different, right? Some people need to take like 5 minutes outside to go for a walk, like clear the
Yeah.
air, whatever. Even if you're doing coaching calls, whatever, right? You're dealing with people. It's energy.
Yeah.
It's an energy exchange.
And you
So,
feel
like,
people's pain, right? Like when someone is sharing a
course.
story of something traumatic happened to them, I feel it.
because if you don't, sociopath.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Red flag.
red flag. So like,
Red flag. If you don't feel it, something's wrong.
you know,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, like that's it is true. Like in realizing that, having that realization, like what you are doing is transformative.
It's not
a party
trend.
It's not a party trick. It's
Yeah.
not like, you know what I mean?
It's not a trend. It's not, oh, this is cool right now, it's fashionable. No, dude, this is like, you have the ability to change people's entire life. One of the guys got up there after the breathwork on Thursday. He's like, for the first time since I divorced my wife, I felt love for her and I forgave her.
Damn.
For my ex-wife. He's like, he was crying, like, that's
crazy.
from breathing.
Yeah.
No drugs. Nothing.
I mean, like, again, you got to like probably how much resentment was in there. We don't know the story, right? We don't know what happened, but like, you can only imagine. I've heard some really messed up divorce stories and like all the games and politics that go into it and like how like deep it goes. So you can only imagine for that guy.
Yeah.
Doing breath work, be like, you know what? It's cool.
He's like, I felt love for her for the first time.
Which is crazy.
It's like, whoa. That's deep.
That's profound.
Yes.
Right? Like you would have to do like therapy for a while to get there.
Yeah.
You know
some people
would
have to do therapy for a year before they have a breakthrough like that.
If they even do, right? Like
Exactly.
it might take a while to get to that point, but like to get that through breath work that's the thing. It is so profound. It is so transformative. It is like medicine for the soul in a way. Like, you know what I mean? You
can alter your state of consciousness. And it's not to say like in a psychedelic fashion. It's literally like, if you just, I don't know, before you do your first round of breathwork, write something down and do your 3 rounds and then get up and just compare what you were thinking about at the beginning, what you're thinking about at the end. You've shifted your consciousness completely. Yeah. Right? And now imagine a room full of 50 people with some of the probably best breathwork practitioners in the world facilitating for you. Like, you're going to go deep. And you also feel very safe to go deep. That's how I felt, at least. I was like, if there's any place for me to go deep, it's here. Like, I got these guys looking after me. I can let go.
Right. Because sometimes you might not exactly feel like, I don't trust. And your body knows that. Your body will sense that, and it'll prevent you from fully letting go because you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. You feel like, oh,
I might not feel safe. I'm not going to go all out.
I don't want to have a breakthrough in front of 50 people, for example.
Right. Strangers,
exactly.
People I don't know, whatever the case may be. But your body will inherently put up these kind of barriers and blockages if you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel relaxed, or it's just like doing psychedelics if you're not in a good mood or
Exactly.
in a bad like
Or-
environment or whatever, because your environment will dictate. Doing because it's the cool thing to do.
Mhm.
It's like, this is real shit.
This is real as
Like-
fuck.
Like,
It is real, bro. Like it is like after that week, I was like, whoa,
bro, it's
whoa, dude. Right.
life changing, man. It's
And
life-changing.
then I think it was the last day. No, it was Thursday too. So Thursday they really fucking pushed us. So they had that crazy breath work in the morning, and then the ice bath that day was, listen to your body. You can stop whenever you want to stop, and just listen to our instructions. Cool. Get in the ice bath. Get in the ice bath. Get out of the ice bath. They're not telling us time, by the way.
No, of course not.
They're not telling us time. Get out of the ice bath. You know, do your horse stance. Get back in the ice bath. You can stop anytime, guys. Like that's what they tell us. You guys just listen to your body. You can stop anytime you want. This is not
Anytime
like,
they say that, it's like
what do you talking
you know.
What do you guys mean?
Yeah, it's like a test.
Yeah,
and you know it's a
I
test.
think they're also setting it up to see ego.
Of course.
Because when you have other people who are sitting there longer than you, your mind is like, what the fuck? Like, am I supposed to get out? I'm supposed to get in. I'm getting assessed. Like,
yeah,
they're going to be like, oh, you can only do 3 minutes. Like, you're no way you can be an instructor. Like, all these thoughts are going through your head. So you're having that whole emotional exchange in your body. I will say though, for me, I looked at a tree. I picked the tree that was across from me. I was like, it's just you and me, tree. That was it. It's like, it's you and me, tree. I'm gonna breathe. You're gonna breathe, and we're gonna get through this together.
That's it. You're staying grounded, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, we did that. So it was afterwards. They told us it was a minute in, minute out, 2 minutes in, 2 minutes out, 3 minutes in, 3 minutes out, 4 minutes in, 4 minutes out, and then on the last round, which was the 5-minute round, they had us swim back and forth in the water, which was like
That's
excruciating.
for anyone that doesn't know. When you move in an ice bath, it makes the water feel 3
Yeah.
degrees colder.
Yeah, and when I'm talking ice bath, there was like 6 inches of ice cubes.
Bro, I saw your post, and it was funny because like
The ice bath is full.
the ice bath is full of ice. Like you like literally it already looks like an iceberg. And then I just see
bags and
like
bags
50
of ice.
bags of ice and people just dumping more. Like, at this point, you're just putting ice on top of ice.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous.
So these ice cubes are like hidden, like you're swimming through thick layers.
You're
of
swimming
ice.
through a slushy, bro.
Yeah.
Let's
So I'm in there. I'm one of the last people in. There was only one, Manolo from Peru. Shout out to Manolo. He stayed the full 15. I got out probably like 4 minutes and 13 seconds. 30 seconds. Like I was just like 30 seconds away because I just got to the point where I couldn't feel my arms like at all. And even when I got out of the ice bath, I was like, my arms.
How you gonna let a man from Peru
I had
beat
to.
the Canadian?
No, I had to because
in
you
the
know why?
club
No. I thought about it. I was just like looking at it. I was like I know I could stay in here, but I don't know if it's because I want to beat this guy or like I don't know what my intention is.
Mm.
So when I got out, at first I kind of felt like, oh. And then they like 30 seconds later, like, okay, time is over. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, fuck. And then I was like, no, that's my ego. Like that's my ego. So I'm glad that I got out before him. I was like, that showed me that I could be like, fuck my ego. Like my arms are hurting and
I'm gonna just keep going.
yeah, my arms are hurting. My body's in pain. It's clearly telling me like, yo, chill out. So get out. So I got out and I think that was good for me. Like that's what I needed. I needed to be like, okay, I wasn't the last.
You needed that
standing.
check. Yeah.
I needed to be
Interesting.
not the last person standing.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
Because in my like I'm fucking competitive. I told you, like I was locked in for 2 months up until this thing. I was like,
bro, I know.
no
That's
plan,
what I'm saying. Like
nothing. I'm studying. I'm either reviewing the videos or I'm taking notes on the studies or I'm doing study group with people who are also doing the master module. So I'm competitive like that. So I think that was great for me, like to be like, okay, fuck your ego. Yeah, you're from Canada. Yeah, you do minus 30 degree dips. outlasted everyone. There's this one guy, and I could almost sense like he wanted it. He's like, I was like, I feel like he really, really wants this.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm good. I got out.
Okay. Follow-up question. If it was you and Goggins in that ice bath, are you gonna?
The problem is Goggins will die in the ice bath.
Probably.
The problem is Goggins would probably try to die in the ice bath.
Like, yeah, because I know you're competitive, and so like, you know.
Yeah. I had to check that, dude. That was a big part of it. I had to check that. I was like, it's not just about like being the best. It's not about staying in the ice bath the longest. They clearly said like it's about listening to your body too. So if I got to the point where my lips were purple, that would be a check against me. They would have been like, oh, you're tough. You know? They would
like, we got another one.
Yeah,
like,
they'd be like, okay, well, we got another freaking egomaniac from North America that wants to prove that he's David Goggins.
Yeah,
And now he's gonna have to stand in horse stance for 2 hours while we get him warm.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with that.
No, of course not. Yeah. So like it's an interesting like mind game though. Like, and also just like testing your ego, testing your resilience, and like also it allows you to see what you're actually capable of, right? And like how the method works. So I have a question, because like obviously here, you know, ice baths are it's a trend. Well, it's not a trend. It's like it's a thing now.
Yeah.
It's just the wellness thing. Right. There's another place opening up just down the street from here. Another ice bath and sauna place. Like there's a bunch like popping up all over the place. Like doing breath work before getting into the tub isn't really like a common practice. So when you're doing the Wim Hof method there, because when I started practicing, for instance, you know, I was just doing breath work and I didn't have a body of water near me. So I would do skipping outside in just shorts, shirtless, expose as much skin as I could to like the elements.
Which is all you need.
And I would do the 3 rounds and then I would go outside. I'm firing up my engine and then I would go outside.
Yeah.
So are you doing the breath work before you do the ice baths? Are you like what exactly is the protocol?
So they did okay, so a lot of people think like, okay, you do the breath work to keep you warm in the ice bath. That's not necessarily true. The breath work is great for mindset. The breath work really kind of like dials you in and allows you to get into that mental space that will allow you to overcome something like cold. Like if you're someone who hates the cold, and I do a couple of rounds of breath work with you and I allow you to clear your mind and do some visualization. Especially when it comes to the immune function, it's breath and cold. Like they have the definitive evidence that you need the combination of two.
So breath work pre-dip or breath work
in general,
during, post, like what's
breath work in general? Like I could do my breath work in the morning and then do my ice bath in the afternoon.
So as long as you're doing breath work, like the 3 rounds or 4 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever, the Wim Hof breath work, then you do an ice bath at any point during the day, you're getting like the full benefit of the 2 modalities.
Yeah.
So you're getting the full benefit. So what is the added benefit of doing breath work and then an ice bath versus just doing an ice bath?
So the breath work, one of the main things that's happening inside of your body when you're doing the breath work, well, there's 2 things. You're alkalizing the blood. So you're temporarily removing so much acid from your blood that now your blood can reestablish homeostasis. So it goes back to a healthy level of acidity in the body. And with that comes like the tingly sensations and the hormetic stress. The other thing you're doing is that you're, especially when you're holding your breath, you're lowering your oxygen level to the point where you're in a hypoxic state. And that's the stress that allows for a big dump of epinephrine, which is the anti-inflammatory. That's what's stopping you from getting those symptoms, is anti-inflammatory markers from epinephrine. So you do the breath work, you got a dump of epinephrine, aka adrenaline, which is anti-inflammatory in the body. Then you do an ice bath, you're getting even more epinephrine, so you're getting even more anti-inflammatory benefits. So that's what's happening on a scientific
level. So you're stacking that anti-inflammatory epinephrine release in your body. I see. So it doesn't matter if you do the breath work go about your day, do an ice bath later, whatever, because you already primed your system in that way. You're gonna respond to it.
If you're a seasoned practitioner,
okay,
like you and I, like we could do breath work in the morning and then go for our ice bath. If you're new to the practice, I would say do your breath work. And then after your last round of breath work, most importantly is visualize the ice bath. Is sit there and actually, because there's 3 pillars of Wim Hof: breath, cold, mindset. And mindset is really like, it's meditation. It's setting your mind right. So after your final round of breath work, first of all, you go into this amazing like euphoric state. Use that to visualize. And that visualization practice for me is key to doing the ice bath. That's more key than the breath work. Because even like when we do sunrise socials, for example, they do breath work and then it's like 30, 40 minutes sometimes until someone gets into the water.
Right.
But a lot of the times they're like, when I'm facilitating at the ice bath, I'll get someone who's like super nervous. And I'm not going to be like, okay, lay down, let's do 3 rounds of breathing. Of
course.
You know, I'm like, no. I need you to focus your mind on the water right now. Close your eyes, couple deep inhales. Now visualize this entire process and how it's going to go for you. And really tell your mind to command your body. Like really just be like, no, like my mind is in control. And that's the mindset portion. That's how you use the cold to build that strong mindset.
Right.
Because ultimately that's what we want. It's great to have the anti-inflammatory benefits. It's great to have all the health benefits. It's great to alkalize your blood. But you need a strong mindset because that's what's going to allow you to carry through the rest of life. Right?
Facts.
You know?
Follow-up question. So I know there's some studies around Wim sitting in an ice bath and like maintaining his core temperature.
Yeah. It's 2018 Michigan study.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that, is the breath what's helping him maintain his core temperature? Like what was, I don't know if you guys got into that.
Yeah, we definitely did, dude. We had to.
yeah. So like, but I'm just like curious if like you guys learned what that is and how that works. Just like for people who might be curious about like how to like, you know, ice baths are cold.
So 2 things.
Is there a way to retain some heat?
So the way they did that study is like they built like this suit that they could pump cold water into, and they put Wim in a MRI and a PET scan to scan his brain and to see what's going on inside his body. So they did it. First one, they said, hey, no breathing, no meditation. We're just going to throw you in there. And, you know, like everyone else, when they put cold water in, his core body temperature dropped when they put water. So it was like
get a baseline. Yeah.
Predictable. This is what happens. You get cold, your body temperature drops. You get warm, your body temperature rises. Then they had him prime himself with breath work, put him in the suit, and then stuck him in and put the cold water. And they noticed 2 things. So the first thing they noticed is that the intercostal muscles were chewing up a ton of glucose that was keeping his core body temperature warm. So the breathing technique must have, and it, like this is all conjecture. There's no, just FYI, like in the study they don't say this. This is me saying this. So, you know, I would assume that because you're engaging the intercostals when you're doing the breath work, maybe that primed them to start chewing up glucose. And then the other thing they saw is that Wim was able to, he was just meditating in there, right? He couldn't do breath work in the machines, but he was able to increase the activity in the peridactyl gray area of the brain, which is associated with pain and pain tolerance. So that's the part of the brain that will, like, let's say you're in pain, it'll release cannabinoids to soothe those receptors and dull the pain. The conclusion of the study was basically that there seems to be, Wim seems to have an ability to have top-down control in his body. So he's able to literally use his mind to keep his core body temperature warm. So visualization.
Yeah.
And that I feel like is, the more I study this and the more I hear Wim speak, like the breath work is great, but he's really more so about like,
Yeah, it makes sense, right? So like one of the main reasons is I started cold exposure is because I hated how cold I felt in the wintertime.
Yeah.
My traps would always be sore because I would always be like tensed up and like, man, I can't like deal with this. It's too cold. I don't like it. I hate the cold. And I was like, man, I gotta like get over that. I live in Canada. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna live like this
It's
my
funny,
whole
'cause
life.
that's like me too. Like,
And
yeah, I live in the cold, so
I was like, I need to confront this and just like find a way to be okay with this. And it starts here, right? Like, I didn't want to go skip outside in the middle of winter. I'm shoveling a patch out of the driveway so I can go skip. My neighbors look at me like I'm a lunatic.
yeah.
But that got me over, like, the Wim Hof method got me like to be okay with winter. And now, like, I'm not phased by it. I'll walk around in the winter in a t-shirt and people are like, "Are you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Funny, dude. It's funny because like the more I practice cold exposure, the more I realize like when you feel cold, it's not cold, it's fear.
That's it.
It's like, cause like sometimes I'll step out to like grab something from my trunk and it'll be like -25, and I'm like, oh, I'm cold, but then I'll be like, like let me take a let me just like relax my body and clear that chatter of like you're cold, you're cold, you're cold, and just be like, no, you're fine, and that sensation all goes away. So it's all in your head.
It's all in your head.
It's all in your head. And these two modalities, the breath work and the cold, is a good way to see that.
Yeah.
That's what
it helps
does.
you
Realize it.
realize and also stay composed, because
Yeah.
you realize you go through like these experiences and like fight or flight, right? Like if you get in that ice bath, you start panicking, you're not going to last because your mind's already like, I'm dying. I got to get out of here. But if you're just like, no, let me embrace this. I'm actually not dying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And then you like sit in it. Then you're like, oh, I can do hard things.
Yes.
And then you don't get like, you don't get as agitated by normal stressors anymore, because you do hard things and you're like, oh, I can handle this.
And you do hard things. There's
Right.
proof. It's
Exactly.
not just like, oh, I do hard things and you never do anything hard. No, you did something hard. Now you have the evidence and you walk around with that all day long. No one can take that.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah. And then so the last day is a Friday. Obviously, they gave us a very chill day after the Thursday, because it was like they could tell they destroyed us.
Well, they know, right? They're taking you through the ringer, right?
Yeah, I was like, I really hope it's a smooth landing, and they did a great job with that. We just had like, some sharing, safety protocols, brand guidelines.
Yeah, of course.
Walk, and then we did a nice nature walk, and then they were like, okay, guys, free time, take your last ice bath. I whip out the speaker. I get like a party going to the ice bath.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like loving my music. I end up on the aux like all night long. Like we partied hard like the last night, obviously. There's like a little bar in the town. So everyone's buying bottles of wine. They're like, yo, you guys are instructors now. Like we got to sit in like the whole week. The instructors were sitting in like one side of the dinner area, and then we were on the other side.
Of course.
Come on, they're discussing stuff like what we're gonna do this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So by the last day, I was like walking in, there was no seats left, and then like one of the instructors was like, "You're an instructor now. You get to sit in here with us."
Amazing.
But yeah, man, like a global tribe. It's crazy. I have.
How many of you are there like certified Wim Hof instructors in the world? 1,500 worldwide.
Yeah.
There's 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
And there's
Still just
1,500. Yeah, you're a rare breed, bro.
Yeah, 1,500 of us. They might churn out like another. They're probably doing like 500 a year, because like they don't have the capacity to train more than that. So
yeah, is that like what
like right now? I think they're doing about 500 a year.
So they do a couple of these like sessions a year.
Exactly.
I
think they do like 5 or 6 modules. Depends. They're adding more each year. They're growing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not that many.
Crazy.
It's not that many. Yeah.
Now that you're certified, what does that mean? And then what's next?
Well, now that I'm certified, I can obviously offer all the workshops that they have. They have certain, so they're pretty, it's not that they're rigid, but like they're pretty clear about how to offer their offerings so that things are consistent across the board. So I can host like Wim Hof fundamental classes. I can host weekends. And then I believe after like 10 weeks, I can do like advanced workshops, which is like where we teach people a little bit more advanced breathing techniques that help you go deeper and stuff. But like, you don't want to just throw that onto anyone. And you also don't want to do it in like a group of 50 or 20 even.
Right. It's for smaller settings.
Smaller settings.
Yeah.
Where people who are signing up for it are also kind of expecting a more intense experience.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Also obviously means like all to do all the things that you've heard breathwork and cold can do. Impact your
Right.
immune system, better focus, better resiliency, just overall better quality of life. And yeah, now if I continue to work with them, I can be eligible to become a level 2 instructor, which opens the door to more of their offerings, and also maybe potentially, hopefully, maybe one day they would invite me to go to Poland on a retreat with Wim himself, stuff like that. Also, I have friends all over the world. Like anywhere there's a Wim Hof instructor, I could probably hit them up and
Right.
make a friend.
Because you have that commonality, right? Like
Yeah.
that event I was telling you about we were at. It's like the networking event where it's just like, oh, like I know someone in this. Anywhere you go in the world, you're connected.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know someone out here. Boom, let me hit him up.
Exactly.
Boom, and you're taken care of. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to have that sense of community and
It's a global tribe. Like now I
know you all went through it, right? Like, it's tough.
Yeah, and it's special.
Yeah.
After like a week of doing that kind of stuff with everyone and like having those side conversations, and
You get to know people, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you do a couple rounds of cycling with somebody that you don't know that well. By the end of it, you're gonna know them.
yeah,
Because like you're going through some.
yeah, you know people.
Yeah.
You start to really know people.
It takes away all the barriers because you can't.
You can't hide in the
No.
ice.
No, you can't.
You can't hide in the
You're-
ice. You're who you are.
Is it?
You're someone that panics. I'm gonna see the panic,
That's it.
right? You're someone that handles stress well. I'm gonna see that too.
That's it.
You're someone that has constant narratives in their mind. You can see that.
Yeah.
And you can even see that, like, now I feel like I've gotten to the point where in like a conversation with someone, I'll know how they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
You can tell. You can pick up on the energy. You can sense it. You know, and especially when you're so sure of yourself and where you stand, it's easier. Like when you become self-aware and you know where you're at,
Yeah.
then it's easier to kind of assess. Because if you're not sure of who you are and what you're doing and everything,
And you're fronting all the time, like
right? That you're not. You
someone
don't even
who's
know.
sure, someone who's sure of himself can see that. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, that's sick, man.
Yeah. So that was the week. It was like, I remember just being in it. It felt like a month. It felt so.
Yeah.
It's 8 a.m. to 8. This is 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. Full programming, like all day long. Present.
That's how
story,
you get it done, right? It's
feedback.
5 days.
Yeah. Feedback. This, that. Okay. Now you guys lead breath work. Okay. Now you're a participant that does this. Okay. Now ice bath. Okay. How would you handle this situation? Oh, okay. Share your personal story. No, remove that from your personal. It was like all day long. Boom, 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 boom.
But that's what it takes, man. It's that comprehensive level. Also, the attention to detail, right? And like really setting you guys up for success and to like carry the torch for the brand, right? Because if you're going to be repping the brand,
yeah, you
got to be about it.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just be
they got to make sure that you
half-assing it and just like
You're not-
making up your own protocols. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
a big thing for them. Not part of the method
at all. So they just don't even touch on it.
They don't do any of the science or anything, but like big thing for them is like, ice bath is 3 steps: preparation, ice bath, and recovery. And they're like, you need to teach people recovery because that's when people get fucked up.
Right.
After drop is huge. Like that's a huge danger of putting people on the ice because some people after drop can hit them like 3-4 hours later. So as an instructor,
Wild.
because you have that vasoconstriction, and if you're someone who has poor circulation, it takes a while before those blood vessels open up. And when they open up and it's cold, it's still cold, the after drop is still happening. So recovery is huge for them. So like horse stance, I've never done so much horse stance in my fucking life. So much horse stance, but you start to realize the power of warming yourself up from the inside out.
Yeah, and you do engage the intercostals.
Yes, that's the whole point of the horse stance.
Yeah,
the twisting is to engage the intercostals, which again chews up glucose, starts to warm up your core.
Of course,
engaging your legs, you're getting a warm blood flowing through the body, and on top of that, you're activating more brown fat when you warm yourself up mechanically over a sauna.
Of course,
and the risk of a sauna too is you go in there and then your blood vessels pop open right away, and it's all freezing cold. Like your core is really warm, but your limbs are not.
Yeah.
And then your blood vessels pop up open right away and you pass out because it's just cold blood and warm blood mixing together. Your core body temperature goes from you know, 30, because it's going to stay at 37. It's trying to keep your organs good. It's going to go from 37 to 34 within 30 seconds. And that's when you're on the floor.
Interesting.
Going, what the fuck just happened?
So like, something I've never considered. I mean, I've been doing contrast therapy for a while now. You know,
I mean,
and it's like,
you probably know your body, but some people think
I've never experienced anything like that, or the after drop, right? Like I've never had that problem. The worst I've had is my toes stay numb for like a couple hours. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, that's kind of annoying, but it's not like, you know, life threatening
yeah.
by any means. But also I think probably factored into that is I have good cardiovascular health.
Exactly.
I work out, I eat
You've
healthy,
been doing
like
this.
I've been doing this. Like it's, but something to consider for.
See, that's the difference between
people,
becoming
right?
a facilitator and like being a practitioner.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like I would be like, what are you talking about after drop? Like I'll do whatever I want. I'll go in cold, I'll go in hot.
Right.
Like I know my body. I'm at that point, I'm a practitioner.
Yeah.
To become a facilitator, it's like, no. You're gonna listen to me. You're gonna listen to me. I'm responsible for you right now. You paid for my workshop. This is what we're gonna do.
Right. And you're offering that expert advice.
Yeah.
Teaching, curation. You're taking them on a journey. And
yeah.
It's not just like get in the ice and get out.
Yeah.
And have a nice day.
It's like, no, this is the proven Wim Hof method. Yeah. This has been researched since 2014. It's continued to be researched because scientists are still like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Like how are people getting off their pills just from breathing in cold water? How are people beating an autoimmune disease that we don't even understand how an autoimmune disease works?
Right.
But it's going away.
Crazy.
Right. There's no papers about this yet, but that like in the Wim Hof community, there's so many anecdotal stories. There's so many people that are like I almost died and then I started doing this and all my symptoms. Yeah.
Energized from the earth as well, but like no glasses I could see like 2020.
Yeah.
Just came back. Explain that to me. You know, nobody's like, I don't know what happened to you, bro. This happened more than once.
It's crazy, dude. It's
so like
crazy.
What our bodies are capable of when you expose them to these positive stressors and
you're unlocking DNA.
Yeah, right. Like, because we're just scratching the surface, man. Like, we don't know.
Like,
come on.
The literature I went over, like the research papers I went through were amazing, but like I could tell this is just like it just started. Like we're just now opening up our eyes to this and starting to even be like, oh, we should put resources into understanding this.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Wim Hof for that.
I mean, he's the GOAT, man. Like people can say whatever they want, but like Wim is the GOAT. If it wasn't for Wim Hof,
I don't think there'd be ice baths.
It wouldn't be a trend. You wouldn't be see Rogan doing it. Huberman Labs wouldn't be talking about. Like nobody would be talking about this if it wasn't for Wim Hof, because he's the godfather of cold exposure.
Godfather. You got to understand, from basically the 80s till 2014, he was written off.
That's it.
He was written off.
People thought he was crazy.
He's a kook. It was a circus act.
Here we are.
It was like a circus act. Like, oh, we're going to see the guy that sits in the ice water. Cool.
Right.
There was no like, oh, this is life-changing. This can help with autoimmune disease. This is proven to tap into your autonomic nervous system,
right?
Which is huge. People like if you told a scientist pre-2014, like I can control my immune system, they're like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Well, I remember him talking about that, and like a lot of the interviews he's been on and stuff. He's like, you know, I've proven things, like we're able to access parts of our physiology that science never knew was possible.
Yeah,
and I'm the case study. Yeah. Like I'm showing that, oh no, hold on, this is possible, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's not even oh, it's possible. It's like, oh, like it's not just possible. It's like, no, I can show someone to do it in 4 days,
which is insane.
Yeah, like anyone. I pull anyone off the street in 4 days. Like, let's give them 4 days with me, and they'll be able to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I'm excited to see where this takes you.
Man,
obviously, this is going to be a part of any upcoming retreats we do.
Of course,
you can absolutely expect the breath work.
Absolutely. You can expect the whole Wim Hof
ice
method.
baths, all of it. You know, it's going to be an incredible journey to witness and see.
Yeah, man.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I saw the hard work you put in, and it paid off.
Yeah.
You know, this is like I always say, it's just the beginning.
And I think that's a fucking perfect way to wrap up the episode. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Keep an eye out for all the future offerings, because there will be many of them. and we will see you guys all